Hey everybody, before we get into the autopsy, I wanted to talk about who is the detective of the Ark, who's going on the wall of detectives. There were a lot of really interesting and really well done guesses from a whole bunch of people for this one. We got a lot of submissions, probably the most we've ever had. It was also a very long mystery, so there was time for everybody to get in. A few honourable mentions or comments before I get to the actual detective of the Ark. There were quite a lot of people who wanted there to be a lot more secret relationships in this one. We had a few mentions of whether Jack and Samantha were in a relationship together. There were also a few people who suggested that Harmony and Matt were in a secret relationship together. A few of which also mentioned the idea that maybe the dead husband in her book was a metaphor for Matt being ruined by his association with Gregory. Quite a few people talking about whether the Daphne-Daffodil connection went deeper than it could have, with a secret illicit affair between Daphne, Dan's wife, and Gregory, and whether or not it came up in the playtest as well, and I think I mentioned it in the main autopsy, whether or not his kids were his or whether they were secretly Gregory's. Quite a few people came in after part 5 to mention this connection of this song, this stolen Daphne-Daffodil song. Special shout out to Malarkey, who happened upon this song-stealing subplot earlier than anybody else, did very well with it. So shout out to Malarkey. Another element that some people really pegged on was whether Harmony having these strange travels. People were cluing in really early that Harmony's travel was suspicious and that they put her on the train with Gregory. And a special shout out to Louise Allahan, who had Harmony travel suspicions and put her on the train in episode 3. Speaking of people who did things after episode 3, Melanie McClung, special shout out for just with no details, no fanfare, just straight up, Harmony did it, definitely after part 3. A big runner-up special mention to Lunas Z, or Sophie Z, who noticed a huge amount of things, including Jack's identity as a trans man, which I think is coming up in this autopsy, straight from episode 1, but also putting Harmony on the train after episode 2, and a few other really lovely moments that were well found, possibly the sort of stuff that could get you a detective of the Ark, except our detective of the Ark for this mystery is Nyssa. Nyssa, who had so many details, so correct very early, putting Harmony on the train, but with very specific understanding of what the evidence was that pointed to her all the way back in episode 3. Also noted Jack as being trans, which is just a fun side mystery. Also noted the Daphne and Daffodil song similarity quite early. So while a lot of people did each of these things very well, Nyssa did all of them at once, and the whole way through had really, really solid reasoning and evidence for everything they put forward, and I was incredibly impressed. So Nyssa, you are the detective of the Ark. You're up on the wall. Okay, let's get into the episode. Congratulations, Nyssa. Welcome to Solve This Murder. I'm your coroner, Bill.
And I'm your forensic pathological assistant, Dani.
This is the autopsy for the tragedy in transit.
What a bigums.
Yeah, congratulations, Dani. You did 10 parts. They were all quite long parts. I think we've done mysteries before that are longer in terms of number of episodes.
Really? More than 10?
There's a chance, maybe?
No.
Well, I'm not really sure. I could try and check. I wonder if I've got I've got at least a partial episode list, I'm sure. I'm not good at keeping up to date with them, but I'm sure I've got something. But it was a big one. You're right. You
expected that it was going to be.
That's true. We've got 4 parts for Murdered Medium, 5 parts, 6 parts, 8 parts, 5 parts, 7, 6, 7, 5, 8, 6, 2, 6, 3, 6. No, you're right. It is the longest. 10 parts is the longest mystery we've ever done. And I think you did very well.
It was very interesting trying to figure out how to structurally explore this, especially through the beginning of it just being at a dinner party, of how much is expected to be solved from a dinner party, because they don't know they're being investigated.
They could have. Now, this is interesting. So Jamie comes forward with the plan of, let's make this the bit. Like, we're going to lock the doors. We're going to say to them, there's been a murder, one of you did it, and see what happens. Now, that plan would never have worked because the door's unlocked from the inside anyway, but...
And I didn't know that there'd been a murder until 2 parts ago.
No, and this is the thing. I play tested this a couple times. No one ever went with Jamie's plan. It was always, no, what are you talking about? Please let me just talk to them casually, which I don't mind at all. It was never intended. I just wanted, I think Jamie would have wanted that, so I made Jamie say it. But you could have from the beginning, and it's really interesting to think about how that changes what the case will be, because you weren't sure there was a murder, but also you never introduced to your people, to your suspects, that they are currently suspects in a murder. So it changes the sort of stuff. No one is talking about like, oh, who might have done this? Let me tell you who I think could have done this, or let me tell you weird, fishy things that happened. No one was really on the lookout for this sort of stuff. So they were trying to answer, or I was trying to make sure they were answering questions in the casual way in which they were being put forward, and not racking their brains about if they saw anything suspicious. Or so there are little bits here. For example, there are ways that you could press Daniel to have possibly said that he may have seen someone else at lunch, like in Wetherell, that he thought he saw Jack. But that's very much an if pressed sort of thing.
Yeah. Man, your notes are so exciting. I can't see them very well, but I'm pretty sure I just saw a coloured flowchart.
I do. So this is I showed you 3 images in episode 3, and you said there are 4 in there. This was the 4th image, which is a little map of how everybody got everywhere with colour-coded forms of transport to the various places that they go.
Not how I spelled Wetherell.
So that is in. Oh, how did you spell Wetherell?
Like the street. That's the street next to our street where we live.
No, this is Weatherhill.
Yeah, we live next to a Wetherell.
This is Weatherhill.
Okay.
But so I have all their different like flights and how they got
pretty.
there and who was on what at any given time. But yeah, I think I have notes for. So I've got some like as in my character notes, I've got like a description of the people, what their secret was, and then like what they think about all the people, and then also their travels after that. But within those, I've got notes of like. Yeah, like on Daniel, I've got a note of if pressed, he may have seen Jack at the airport when he got on the plane.
Nice.
So if we had questioning about getting on the plane, he could have said, yeah, I got on the plane. I think Jack must have flown as well, because I think I saw Jack at the airport. And then you find out when Jack says I took the bus, that's another point of Jack's travel doesn't line up.
Great.
But if you think Jack was at the airport, what other planes were going could have been on. And you could find out that there were two people who were meant to be on that private charter jet as well.
Fair enough.
But I've got an if pushed very hard, like that would have to be a, did you see Angela walking in the rain while you were on a taxi?
Why do you keep calling her Angela?
I don't know. Did you see Harmony while you were driving in the taxi late because she was walking because she didn't have her car? Did you see her? Could have got to, you know what, I did pass someone. I think there was someone, I remember splashing them with water at the time, like in the car. I felt really bad about it. But but you would have had to pushed very hard is in this note.
That's why she was so mad about the evening storm.
Like I think Matt has an if pushed about identifying Jack, which you did. So like, he's got if pushed about Samantha, has a recently confronted Matt in his office looking for Gregory. That I seeded very early on because there was something you talked about with Samantha and he had like a moment of being weird about it and saying that there's some, I just had him specifically acting weird about Samantha and the idea of an argument or something. It was really subtle, but I started to try and seed it in early. And then it was also seeded by the change in, you found pictures of them, they were always seemed quite chummy, but then in pictures on that trip, which would have been right after the confrontation, they seemed quite tense with each other. So that was to set up the argument about Samantha's argument. But he also has a, if pushed very hard, booked tickets for Jack on Gregory's private plane, etc., etc.
Nice.
Because Jack asked him to keep it secret, so he was going to.
Well,
unless you said, it's a murder investigation, I think you booked stuff for Jack.
This is why I asked if Jack had signed any NDAs. I 100% thought that he and Gregory were having some sort of secret tryst and Matt was facilitating it.
No, not a tryst at all, but...
I mean, a weird, a moral affair.
Yes, a weird back and forth, because I've got this thing with I don't know where I've written it, but it really is, the tone of this is I've got so Jack Wolf's secret. While Jack is constantly trying to convince Gregory to live frugally and give away money, Gregory insists on having these conversations in luxurious ways and gets a small sense of satisfaction at seeing Jack enjoy the good life. Jack enjoys the private flights and train cabins, the expensive food, but feels guilty about the hypocrisy and keeps it a secret that only Gregory and Matt, who often books these things, know. So everyone has one of these secrets, though Matt's is the easiest because it's about worry about PR problems and money caused by Gregory's refusal to cut ties with Benny Grift. and he's being pressured by the Egg Thief Records to rein Gregory in a little bit.
Fair enough.
Harmony's obviously secret is she's the killer. See the truth of the murder. I have a separate section about the beats of the truth of the murder.
Pretty.
Daniel's secret was about the Daffodil song, which I didn't end up I don't have any info for Daphne. Daphne, I didn't expect you to talk to for some reason.
Really?
I was very mean. I was very mean in my notes about Daniel.
Oh.
Just a little thing, just because part of Daniel's whole thing is that he's very effusively happy about his family. He's so in love with his family. And I've written, his son Danny is an 8-year-old chess genius, in brackets, he's fine. And his daughter Priscilla is a taekwondo master, in brackets, she's fine. His wife Daphne is a fantastic mother, in brackets, she's fine. Just to be a bit mean.
I'm a little bit surprised, especially since, the whole Daphne was the one who introduced Amanda to things.
Yeah.
I thought that you were specifically seeding Daphne in a little bit more.
No, so originally it was to seed Amanda to talk more about that and reveal what she did reveal, that, she's really the Daffodil.
Right.
Like, that's a secret she knows because she's actually the one who's friends outside of this group with Daphne.
Gotcha.
So it was that way because Daniel wouldn't reveal that, so you need something to give you the but then I expect you to push on Daniel, not push on Daphne.
Makes sense.
And then I really liked, because I wanted to clarify some of these things, like the argument between Matt and Samantha, and these things that are more hidden. I like the idea that Daphne doesn't hide things. She's just incredibly overt. She'll be like, yeah, no, I'll tell you what's going on. Because she wants to. She wants someone to ask so she can complain about it, because Daniel doesn't care. He's very happy. So when she's like, we could have had more money, we could have had this, that, he's fine with it.
I loved her keeping track of the money.
We've got this chalcedony portrait thing from Samantha. These are real things, chalcedony portraits. There's the ancient Roman. It was just a type of black stone that you could work quite well, so you could do little portraits in it. And I found that one of them had sold at auction recently as on the list of most expensive things sold at auction. Look at it, for £4 million, and it was just it's a portrait of Augustus in chalcedony or something like that.
That's pretty cool.
So this is a big thing. So I made a really expensive thing. But one thing that I found was part of the point of this whole mystery is a lot of people have legitimate issues with Gregory that as emotionally mature people, they've kind of dealt with.
Yeah.
Daniel has an actual issue, but he's happy and not insecure. And so it doesn't bother him because he doesn't allow that thing to root. He would never trade his life for Gregory's life. So why worry about the one song? Samantha has an actual issue of having been gaslit for 15 years about an argument, but she's angry about it. But that doesn't make a normal person kill someone.
Exactly.
Matt has a problem with what Gregory is doing to his capacity to run the business, but also he's Gregory's friend.
Business.
That's business.
People do that a lot.
Jack has an issue with Gregory and thinks he's being manipulated, but he recognizes that as something is his own fault and has to deal with.
Yeah.
And the only person who really... And Amanda has an issue of that Gregory holds the keys to her freedom in his hand and might be telling someone about it, but doesn't want to rock the... she's not necessarily emotionally mature about stuff, but she's kind of naive about it almost. But all these people with legitimate issues don't want to do anything about it, or couldn't have, or have resolved that for themselves. And the one person who has absolutely no issue, no real issue, also doesn't have the emotional maturity to not fester about it. The one person who did it was the person for whom nothing is really important. But for all the other people, something real is very unimportant.
It's a cool way of looking at it.
Yeah, and
very
I think
interesting.
It's one of these things which is a real thing that leads to violence, right? People will...
Absolutely.
A lot of violent attacks, and especially stuff people will just have something catch in their brain and you won't even know that you've insulted them, and that will be the thing they kill you for.
Were you concerned as coming up with that about, yes, this is a thing and it is
but
a
will
good
it be satisfying?
lesson? Exactly.
Well, yes, hugely. And that's why I wanted to seed in particular things. And what I really liked was being able to have an actual trigger phrase that you proceeded. When I was really glad to be able to ask you, what do you think Matt's about to tell you? And for you to say, did he call her a bit of a freak?
Yeah.
Because we've set up that that's a thing that she had gotten mad at him before, that we see that she does this to people, and also that...
Yeah, absolutely had it in...
On the first time it happened, there was a slash tire
I
thing.
certainly had all of that in my notes when all that came up was Amanda saying, yep, and Gregory Cook said, you're a bit of a freak to her.
Yeah. I've got things with Harmony as well of she has the one person she doesn't have any sort of negative things to say about is Daniel, because Daniel is just genuinely nice. So he's never actually even accidentally insulted her. But for everyone else, she kind of gets mad. I had it set up early where when you were nice about things to her, she was very nice to you.
I wondered a little bit as we were going through the last episode. I just wondered if I'd approached her differently at the party.
It could be completely different.
Yeah,
attitude.
to what extent would I have just gotten nothing from her and never been able to get anything from her?
And more specifically, there's a through line from Gregory that he doesn't like to apologize.
Yes.
And even though he feels bad, he's bad at, if he's called out on it, saying anything.
Particularly bad for Harmony.
He may have never apologized to Harmony at all. Like, that first thing, she got back at him and that was cathartic for her. But she clearly still isn't over it because she writes stories about her killing him.
Yeah.
There was a line, there was a throwaway thing somewhere about the fact that Jack does sensitivity reading for her. So you could have asked.
I forgot about that.
You could have asked Jack about.
I completely forgot to look at that.
And he would have said that in the original version of that book, there is no husband killing. There's literally, he could not figure out why the singer was the bad guy. Like, I read it, and I could not figure out why the protagonist was the hero and the antagonist. Like, it seemed like a woman just killing a person for no reason. I could not find so then she wrote in this thing about, in playtest, people then asked her, like, "What have you been married before?" And she was like, "No. What are you talking about?" Like, there's no. So that was a thing where she was told there's no justification for this person being bad. So she wrote in something over the top because no one was getting that. Like, in chapter 2, he said something that could have been taken to be slightly sarcastic, and that was the reason. And in her head, it's like, yeah, everyone will get that he's the bad guy, and that never happened. So that's Jack's feedback for this.
Fun.
In terms of Jack, there's a thing I mentioned to you, and I think I asked the audience about it as well. What's Jack's deal?
Yeah.
Not what their deal is. We know all about his deal, but there's something about Jack's identity
I didn't recall.
Okay, I want to go back to the picture that you...
Yeah, sure. Is that going to help, this little picture that I've drawn?
This is the problem. Let me describe the picture to you.
Yeah.
This is the picture of the Big Tree Crew.
Yeah.
You sort of tick these people off as you went. Big Tree Camp. A blonde, fancily dressed girl, smiling, clinging to Gregory's arm, is...
Samantha.
Wonderful. Boy with a long mop of hair wearing a T-shirt over long sleeves.
Don't remember.
That was pointed out as Gregory.
Okay.
Tall, heavyset boy in jeans and a T-shirt.
Don't remember.
Was Daniel Kitchener.
Okay.
Smiling boy in glasses, smart casual clothing was Matt Sheeran.
Okay.
Girl with long light brown hair wearing a dress was Amanda.
Okay.
Serious looking girl with brunette hair and glasses was Harmony Hansen.
Yep.
And a short-haired girl in super baggy clothing.
No, I didn't remember that at all.
I believe I even described it at the time as very form-concealing clothing.
Oh, no, I didn't catch that.
Is now Jack Wolf.
Fair enough.
I thought that Jack Wolf sounded like the most... I'm a trans man. I'm going to come up with a cool name, so I'm going to call myself Jack Wolf. That you would come up with if you start to transition as a teenager.
You see the final character I've drawn in my tiny stick figures? That is the most ambiguously gendered person that I have ever drawn. And that's as a stick figure.
And then there were little bits where that came through. The reason I asked you is because at the time you had gone right up to Jack and said, like, tell me about your past. Is there anything you want to get off your chest?
Oh, God.
I went, Jack's already done that.
Oh, no.
Jack did that already. We don't have to go through this. But there's little hints across, like, things where I think Matt at a certain point talked about...
I recall at one point, I don't remember if it was Matt. I don't remember who it was. No, it was Daphne.
Daphne had a
when
definite double
I said,
take.
hey, tell me about Jack, and she went, Jack? Oh, right.
Yeah, and then had a pause before he. I didn't ever want to misgender Jack. I didn't want to have a character come in and misgender them. I didn't want anyone to come up with a dead name I haven't even written for a trans man character. But yeah, Daphne had a little bit of hesitance remembering who Jack was and then realizing. Matt at one point wanted to start being disparaging about the idea that all this online stuff isn't really like Jack works himself up into a worry about all this terrible, doom scrolling stuff online, and it's not really an issue for people for like their life.
Oh, right.
And then stopped and went, well, okay, it actually might be an issue for some of the things for him. So didn't want to realize like, well, I can say that as me, a cis straight white guy, but actually maybe there are some issues that do affect Jack that
he needs to be more online about and more worried about. So little bits here and there, but the picture was obviously a big one because there were more girls and it didn't match up even though it was meant to be the same
Yeah, it
people.
made sense.
So I think listeners very well did pick that up, hopefully.
Yeah, and thankfully, incredibly irrelevant.
Well, yes, that's I think the part of the thing. It's like I wanted to do something with that without having to do something with it. I didn't want to have a character go around being like, well, let me tell you. I didn't want to have other characters have to deal with
Here's my story and how it leads to murder.
Yeah, like Jack was a character because of who Jack was. But I just thought I wanted to make it irrelevant but not invisible.
Yeah.
So I put that in as well. And I mean the biggest. Sorry, Jack Wolf, if you're not a trans man, but you should be with a name like that. It's cool. It's a cool name. It's too cool.
Too cool to not be self-chosen.
It's like if your name was Max Power. You're either a Simpsons fan or you're a cool trans teen. And change your name to Max Power because it's cool. I did images for this one. I hope you liked them.
It was lovely.
Made up some fake emails and texts.
What sorts of things have changed between playtests and nay
I can go back to my playtest notes. So the first playtest for this was very, very
bare bones.
Bare bones. I just wanted to check whether there was like a possibility of making sense of any of this, whether they were asking the right questions. Because I knew it was complex. It was about this like complicated journey, as well as like camp stuff, as well as modern stuff, as well as the dinner party. I just wanted to see how it went.
I don't know how much I said on recording already of how much I expected it to essentially have been they all buried a dead body together at camp once.
Oh, do you want to see all my notes? I've got these notes going for a while. They're great. Not that one. So I've got this idea of like a get together. This is my original. So the murder mystery I scrapped early. I had this idea of it's a get together at like a fancy place, where the guests all arrive one by one. The fancy guest is late. They never arrive, and then all the guests who are there have to figure out which one of them killed them on the way over.
Fun.
Right? Because they never got there. And it happens like at the get together. So that was the original genesis. But I invented all these characters here where I wasn't quite sure how it was going to work. And then I was like, well, how are we even going to know that someone did die? Like, why don't they just think they left? And so I wasn't really sure. So, no, actually, this wasn't the one I scrapped. This was after the one I scrapped, I think.
Oh, wow.
Maybe.
How many did you scrap?
So actually, the one I scrapped originally was something similar, but then had like people who were old friends. It was more of the old friends angle. It was about something that happened in childhood, and there was like a dead dog or something, and there was something in the walls. It was like someone's grandfather. I just couldn't make it all work. But I kept the idea of travel, and I got here. So eventually, I was like, let's bring in the murder mystery fan from In-Flight Incident, Jane Sutherland. Have the dinner party, make it a secret sting. I had my original thing was meet group name at place name. Last time, tell them. This one, Gotta Tell Him. The Gotta Tell Him canonically was about Daniel's song.
Okay.
But if you asked Daniel, he would have also thought it was about the song and been like, well, he doesn't need to do this. Why does he think he has to do this? If you asked Samantha, it would have been she thinks that he's finally going to come clean now that he's been exposed and he knows I know he's going to come clean and pretend it was his. So get mad about that. That's what she would have assumed the Gotta Tell Him. Amanda was always going to assume the Gotta Tell Them was about the drugs. But the canonical Gotta Tell Him is about, hey, by the way, everyone, I keep wanting to say this. Daniel wrote Daffodil, and I feel bad about it.
Nice.
It's always on his mind, and he's never told him. But so I've got all these notes about like, I had a note that because they're old school friends, they can be anybody. Like they don't have to be relevant to the situation. So I just sort of came up with a bunch of characters. I called them. You can tell me who's who if you like. I had Miss Leisure.
Miss Leisure?
Yep, Miss Leisure.
Samantha?
I had Mr. Haggard.
In
that case, it was an extra, like, worn down, beat down Jack Wolf.
Okay.
Who even then is trans man, overworked, doom scrolls.
Sure. Literally, that could have, like, what was it? Mr. Haggard?
Mr. Haggard.
Could have applied to any of them in different ways.
Miss Author. That's pretty easy.
Yep.
Mr. Dad.
Okay.
Ms. Worried.
Sure.
And Mr. Judge. I had him be more judgmental originally. Very judgy. But then he was already there, does admin for the victim's music. I wanted the victim to be a musician. Originally, I had found, because I only needed a first name for Gregory, I had found a person on our Discord who only had a first name, who was Chris. And so they were Chris for a long time. And then I realized we just had a dead Chris in Actor's Assassination. And I keep saying Chris, and my brain starts to fill in Refit at the end. And I went, oh, I can't do this. And so I changed it to Gregory. Sorry, Chris. You almost made it onto the show. But then I've got this idea of like where all the secrets are. Like, here's the nucleus, the victim. Here's some other nucleus. Maybe, originally I had like different people. It wasn't just the victim. There was a whole like extra secret where like, it was very much similar to what you think, where like someone killed someone and then someone thinks that person who was a different person thinks someone else did it. So when they heard about a secret, they thought the secret was about the murder. So they're trying to protect someone who doesn't need protecting. And I got rid of that because that was a double murder. And again, I went double murder. That's Actor's Assassination. We already did double murder.
I just noticed a big swear word written on the next page.
Yes. I'm doing Actor's Assassination again. 2 murders, a secret. Okay, let's rethink. So I scrapped all that.
This is all written in large letters on Billy's notebook.
With an expletive as well. So I redid them. I renamed the people, but I kind of changed them to get rid of this whole old secret. And then I've got stuff here where I've drawn out all these little travel maps.
So many maps.
Whereas like, here's the airport, here's a small town, here's an airstrip, there's boat, and I've redone it here, and I've tried to draw where everybody goes and who gets on. So I consulted this as I went a lot, but made it very hard because by that point I was naming characters. So the H for Haggard is not the H for Harmony, who's actually the A, which is not the A for Amanda, who's actually the
that's
W.
always fun.
And then I have F here every time because now they're father instead of dad.
It is really difficult. I noticed that with the last one that I did because I'd given them all like letters or whatever based on their personalities in my notes, and so then by the time I gave them actual character names, I had no idea which character was which.
Yes, I had that a little bit here. And then
you kept naming different people Angela as we talked. Amanda was sometimes Angela, Harmony was sometimes Angela. I don't know why you were on Angela.
And Angela, was that from Five Little Pigs, or did I just do that to someone?
There is an Angela in Five Little Pigs.
I think it was because of Five Little Pigs. So then I've written out like the actual murder here. And now I've got more details locking in. Like here you got 7th of August, Big Tree Crew. Here's the picture of the 7 kids, all this sort of stuff. Started writing out a little bit of people. But then I went to playtest it. We had all these questions like, how did Jane find them? Was a question that was asked. Like, how did you find all these people? Why do you know?
Oh, Jamie.
Yeah, so how did Jamie find them? So I had to come up with ideas about that. What's their connection to Jamie? Like, what do they think of her? What you can observe at the dinner party, like adding more observations of how they interact with each other, because they just sort of wanted to watch these people a bit.
All of these things that I did.
So all these things like about what could have happened at Branton.
Were there any questions that anyone asked or anything that people tried to do that you just went, Danny's not going to do that?
No. Everyone was pretty similar in their things. I had stuff of like, I made them lunch maybe too obvious, or things like trying to push back to make things need to be asked about. People wanted to go to his office, so I had to try and make that something that was real. I said I need a nice way to get Angela's parking tickets into the investigation.
Oh,
I've written Angela there.
You've written Angela.
Was she? I don't know. Was she called Angela at one point? Oh, just because. Oh, that's what it was. So because in the playtest I hadn't actually named them yet, I gave them names based on the letter. So author must have become Angela. And I think for ages Daniel was like Frank because of father, and like it was Lauren because she was leisure. So that's where Angela came from.
So if I had known that, I would have absolutely known who the murderer was because it was the one sticking in your brain.
Maybe. I wanted to do something about the allergy because that didn't come out very nicely. I thought so I had a plan, which I think we did end up happening in ours, in the one we did, which is that one of the issues you get is Jamie in the kitchen being like, oh, I don't need to worry about this allergy anymore. I thought it was a nice way to get it across, and if you hadn't already got it out.
It was very clear.
People really thought for a lot of this first test, and that it was all Matt and Daniel working together because their cover stories only covered for each other. Like for a while in the train, it was just Gregory in the cabin, and then you and so they were obsessed with the idea that those two together must have done everything.
Daniel was very clearly the idea of I have to make sure that I consciously keep him in mind as not being ruled out as a suspect because come on,
he's too nice.
Same with Samantha.
Yes, true. This is why I wanted to add in more of this argument because it wasn't really coming up. So she really had nothing because what I needed was for everybody to have something that you could go, all right, well, here's why they could have done it.
Absolutely.
Could they have done it?
This one, as far as the characters' arcs and relationships to each other, this felt a lot more How to Host a Murdery than some other ones do, which is great.
These are my notes
Oi.
for between the playtests. I've got this stuff of like, this is where I added in voices of doubt and a tarnished soul, because I needed to give you more to make Harmony's. I needed to give you more to make Harmony's motive feel like there was evidence towards it, or stuff that was talking about it. So I added in things like that. I added in the interaction and the text after the first test of Amanda getting onto the train and knocking on Gregory's door and having like a whole interaction. Because I was like, people very quickly went, all right, great, so Gregory must have died now. And I was like, well, I need something happening after Branton that can also then be explained away, just as an interaction there. I need some moment to sort of like set up where people were
Sure.
in time. So I added that thing happening at Branton. So yeah, sorry, we're just at my door. I need to get some sleep. I'll talk to you later. All that sort of stuff written in. And then I added in this thing of the childhood insult, because again, I wanted to make this. Originally, I had very little about this motive, and it's such an annoying. Without that, it's just so annoying. It's like, well, I guess it could have happened that way. I needed something solid, like putting in this slashing of tires after being called a bit of a freak, but then dividing that information up so you get it from multiple people, so then you can make that connection, and then you are expecting, and both you and the second playtesters had a moment then of being able to go, did he possibly call her a bit of a freak? And that's really great. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted them to have that as a thing, like that's what I'm looking for, and a recognizable phrase.
Maybe that says something about how all of us are just one trigger phrase away from turning homicidal.
And then, I've got stuff like, can the bus story for Jack be even more demonstrably false after doing the second test, to really get an idea of like, that wouldn't make any sense. And I think it worked out well that you never believed it from the start. But yeah, most of that's all there. So after the first test, a huge amount changed, but the second test pretty much had everything locked in.
Nice.
And it all worked out. There's stuff like knowing that it's very different when you actually act it out. In the playtests, I'm much more giving. They go up to a character and they say, what do you think about this? And I just give them a list. Like I actually have a really nice chart here in my, about how everyone, this chart here, I'm handing it to Dani.
Ah, good.
So this is basically, everybody has one secret. Everyone has a character secret. And I've drawn, basically I want two different things at least, one from two different characters that talk about their secret.
That's exactly how I do How to Host a Murder style thing.
So you will know their secret if you talk to like this person and that person, and then you get their secret. So that's how you get information about it. So like, I think for Daniel, I've got like Amanda knows Daphne and is pointing to Daniel, and Matt set the deal up so could point to. So like you have multiple ways of getting information about Daniel's secret, multiple ways about getting the whole drug thing, right? Amanda has her drug thing, and I think it's got one pointing from Jack about it saying, hey, had drugs at a protest, something from Samantha being like, had a thing, Gregory's friend was trying to get out of selling drugs, all this sort of stuff. So I've done like a web of secrets where
that Jack blamed Matt for some of the dodgy people, apparently.
Yeah, so all this sort of stuff where like they each had, and so when I've got their write-ups in my notes where everybody has something to say about everybody, those are the ones I started with. I went, here are the two things that matter, where these are like actually like proper evidence, and then the rest is flavor. But it doesn't always fit, it changes, and like there's certain things that were said by the wrong people because it made sense, not wrong, but not the intended people, because you questioned them in a way that made it make more sense for me to get it out somewhere else, like Daphne's existence entirely. Gave away an Amanda-style secret because Amanda had gotten you to Daphne, and gave away a Daniel-style secret, and that came together because
it's very good for you to be able to adapt on the spot.
Yes, you do, and
like
it's a good show for people who are following along with the notes. You can see that it changed and adapted. Obviously, Rajesh Bosley is not a character, but I do have notes in those. I also at the bottom, after all the people,
you have stuff that I could find out at Amy Blue, for instance.
I have got after the chat. I've got here's Wetherell. like, here's stuff at Amy Blue. Amy Blue is where you could have gotten the stuff about a bit of a freak. If you'd asked about the
someone
contents of
would
the conversation, someone would have remembered.
Okay.
I almost, when you left, thought I should bring you back and I should say that. I think, but I went, no, I'll wait. Someone else can get it across. Maybe Matt, because I knew at that point you hadn't really talked to Matt much. So I thought he'll be the one who remembers it, rather than Amy Blue staff.
Gotcha. I did feel when you said, I can't remember, was it Daphne who said Matt would be the sort of person who would remember that?
Yeah.
I felt like that was a heavy prompt of saying,
Yeah.
I haven't talked to Matt enough.
Exactly. But so usually you would have already talked to Matt and he wouldn't have said anything like that. And then the Amy Blue people would have been more open about, like, oh, that was an awkward lunch. But because you talked to them before you really properly grilled Matt about it, I thought it went, I'll leave it for later. Because that was sort of the reason you'd have Amy Blue people say it is because it's later, but you went there a bit earlier. And then I've got info about Branton, and this has stuff about the tickets, the speeding ticket just to beat the train to Branton.
Yes.
And then the parking tickets because she abandoned the car there because she couldn't really go back without, she sort of left it and didn't want to deal with it. It's like, I'm just going to leave the car. It's abandoned car now. What are they going to do?
Yeah, that was not that was not smart.
No, none of it was smart for her.
But yeah, this
She is just dumb.
This weird, funny mix of impulsive and not impulsive. So how did you picture my blurry... I'm not going to say that. Yes, I am. How did you picture my blurry bits going down? The bits
when
of
you
the
said you had blurry ideas...
the actual murder.
Yeah, okay, so in my eyes, the actual murder was... I'm going to kill this guy. I know he's going to get the train. I'm going to leave. Sees the seafood and goes, yeah, you know what? I'm going to get it. I'm going to kill him.
Yep.
He didn't learn last time, when we were 13 years old. He'll learn now. I'm going to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's getting on a train. I reckon I can beat the train. Speeds off to Branton, gets there early, waits, gets on the train without being seen, goes straight into his cabin and just, as you say, shoves food in his mouth, effectively gets him to eat this stuff. As he's then choking, she probably also tries to choke him a little. He reaches for an EpiPen. She knocks it out of his hand, steps on it so he can't use it. He was definitely still in there when the knock on the door came. She just hid. She got his phone. One thing that's in my head is like, well, she could have just used his face to unlock it. And I'm like, well, he's anaphylactic. I don't know how well you could have, but let's say you could have, right? It doesn't pop off his face to us, just his throat.
Might have been a fingerprint lock.
Yeah, it could have been fingerprint. Yeah, there you go, fingerprint. So uses the fact that she has him there to unlock the phone.
Yeah.
She can. I wouldn't have had to resend an email from the list. Probably just knows when he goes on these things. He knows. She knows from Matt. He emails Matt and he emails his record company. But Matt doesn't know because it's BCC'd. He has no idea that he also emails Jamie. So no one that she could have talked to would have had the knowledge that he also emails Jamie. So that's why she didn't do it. But she texted Amanda back because she recognized Amanda, sent the email, need to get rid of the body, just smashed the window open, like took that thing off. Slight difference in interpretation.
Yeah.
In my eyes, the fact that one of the little clamps was new and one was old was an indication that one had already been broken
recently.
and that had been recently replaced.
Yeah, I didn't interpret that. And then at one point we were doing in part 3, here's what happened, our little recaps. And in yours, you said that a recently repaired thing on the window, and I reacted to that.
Yes, because in the end, it doesn't matter. Your understanding of the situation was the same. But yeah, it was that it had broken off because she had done that. And you had been proving when you were in the train yourself that, oh yeah, these are about ready to break. The new one was a replacement of the one that she broke. But she broke it open, threw him out the window, and then just went, I got to get, as soon as we get to Port Angelica, the next stop, I've got to just sneak off and then pretend I drove up here. So she basically just starts walking to 4A House at that point. Daniel ends up going past her in the taxi, but that was a super, you would have had to ask those exact words to Daniel and he would have confirmed it. And then she walks up to the house, says, I parked around the corner. She was very wet. I think multiple people mentioned how wet she got because it was raining.
Yeah.
That's because she'd walked the whole way. And that's why she was extra late, because she walked from Port Angelica, which was a 45-minute taxi trip or half-hour taxi trip or something. She walked the whole way.
Was there anything that could be established as like, why didn't Amanda see her at Branton, or why didn't anyone see her at Port Angelica? Or is just in your head, these are sneakable places?
In my head, these are sneakable places.
Okay.
I think if you'd question it hard enough to go and check, I could have been like, you know what, you go to the station at Branton and you see that it's like the platform sort of segmented by stone walls in each section. So there's plenty of places you could hide. Getting off at Port Angelica, because I already knew that Jack was able to sneak off, it didn't bother me that she could also
No.
snuck off. And so it's like, great. But I could have given you the geometry that would have allowed you to believe it if you didn't believe it.
Fair enough.
And they all got through. But yeah, so I think you did really well putting it all together. I think it was quite a fun mystery.
It's very interesting. Yeah, absolutely.
Did you?
Oh,
how did you feel about it in the end?
I feel I enjoy these characters. I feel like I get them. It was nice. It was nice having so many moments of a character saying, "Well, here's what this character's like," and I would say, "Yeah, I know."
Yeah, true. Did you like the like sort of this one had an almost puzzly element of like trying to line everyone up and find places where stuff could have happened. It could have been more complex, but I didn't want to get too much. As we said, with the...
Well, yeah, you had already primed me with, I think this one could be our longest one yet, and I had no idea what level of depth to expect from anything.
Yeah.
I had no idea where it was going to go. I really enjoyed some of these threads that I was able to find. Like, I loved the window thing.
Yes.
I loved the seafood thing. All of those bits and pieces. It was
in the
really
end,
enjoyable.
There could have been more complexity of travel. If it was like a puzzle, you'd put more in of like, if this person was on this train at this time, they could have gotten to this. But I think that's too much.
I think that was
been
possibly
unfun.
the thing that surprised me the most. That, hey, we think something's going on around Branton. And, yep, something went on around Branton.
Yeah, in the end, there weren't enough places. I thought about making it weirder and more, but yeah, it wasn't actually
about there being more places. It was just the one that people suspected. It's
was
like,
true, yeah.
I spent so long at the beginning trying to say, did he get on the train? I can't be sure.
True, but it's fun because like I think part of it is you do have these questions and you get to resolve them and knock them down one after the other. Like, yes, you know what, we can confirm he was there.
I do think that was the one thing that is so interesting, and I don't know how often we do this in ours at all, but it's fun to lean into more if we can. The Agatha Christie standard thing of what is your assumption that needs to be proven wrong. Whereas for a lot of the ones that we do at this stage, we're still beginners at this. A lot of our assumptions are true.
True, yeah. This
And
one
you just have
had
to work
assumptions
out what
about
they mean.
where people were, I think was a bigger thing. It's like not necessarily did something happen at Branton. Like, okay, it did, but who was at Branton? How could people have been at Branton? You know, and there were some assumptions you had that you did question that turned out to be right because about like what was going on with Samantha. Pretty standard, exactly what she said. But then like Jack was lying the whole time.
Yeah, that's
But
fun.
then what did that mean? And so I think it was a nice level of complexity for this sort of format.
Oh yeah, complexity-wise, for sure.
Especially for this where it's like you can't control exactly the orders people ask questions. Too much complexity of that. But it was, I think, one of our few ones where like method was a big part of it, or like even just means, like how did this person get killed and who could have done it?
I mean, considering how long it
was such a big
went
part of
before we
this.
knew that anything had happened,
Yeah.
absolutely, it made it really interesting. In
Sort
that
of,
way.
I'm trying to make it a different take. I noticed myself falling into a lot of stuff that apparently I just do. A guy who goes on retreats to come back with art was already covered in virtual victim, as was the idea that some of that art is stolen. The victim being another person who makes creative art. It's like, okay, I do, so I guess everybody in the world does. I needed to kill another Keith Moser is what I need. I need to get back to my roots, killing businessmen.
Yeah, we've both been killing the artsy types for a bit lately.
I came up with an idea for another one next, which is a different type of scenario.
You seem very excited about how different vibes-wise.
I think it would be different vibes-wise.
looking
We'll
forward
find
to it.
out if I stick with the idea.
I have just a couple little more questions.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I've got lots of little other answers.
Only little ones, like the other years of things that happened at camps.
Completely made up. I only had stuff for the first year and the fact that there was an annoyed.
All right, so I can't ask who dyed Samantha's hair?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to say probably Amanda. I think the theft was unrelated to anybody. Theft was just a thing that was happening at camp. I think Harmony probably messed with Samantha because Samantha said something dumb and so pranked her that
Who
way.
can say?
That was probably another Harmony prank. But no, those are all made up on the spot because you seem really invested in the idea that something happened every year, and I must
really
know
was.
what those things are. And I was like, oh well, we'll come up with some. I don't want to make them they're not too incriminating, but not too boring either. Because I don't want to make things too clear when they're not relevant. Because otherwise, you just don't need to dig into anything.
I heard kids at camp. I assumed that they'd murdered someone. And then you gave me a photo several episodes later of a bunch of them in a group looking grim together. They brought up the dead body.
Dani, I couldn't do it because I've done that so recently. I wrote that in my own notes. I didn't want him to have killed anybody in the past because that's just actor's assassination again. But I think it went well. I don't think there's any other major notes there. But there were a lot of people in the playtests, both groups of playtesters, when they kind of found out that Daffodil was actually written about Daphne, assumed that Gregory and Daphne were. They were like, Daniel's kids, do they look just like Gregory? And I'm like, no, they're Daniel's kids. Don't worry. But that was a thing that came up a few times in the playtests. But I think
that
it
would
was
have
fun.
been sad.
I think it's a good one. I think
it's gone
it's
very
got some
nicely.
fun
well
character.
done. Thank you for putting so much effort into it
and
because
you solved it.
it's nice that I can trust you when it comes to these sorts of things, much more than I can trust myself when I'm running them for you.
I think you did very well. I think you asked the right questions. It was nice. There's a moment with this one that happened for everybody in the playtest and for you as well of like, can I just leave
This party.
Does the party is the investigation? And I was like, yeah. There's no reason the party's investigation.
Yeah,
Go on, take a trip to Branton.
I really wanted
go
to
home.
investigate the train immediately.
And you
I wanted to get
You're
into
allowed
that.
to just leave and do it.
Were you happy at how quickly I wanted to sniff Harmony's car?
No, I was very worried because the car sniffing is okay. So this is a big thing. I wanted you to tell me what the tickets were going to be.
Yeah.
Because if I suddenly tell you, you look up tickets on Harmony's car and she's got a speeding ticket from between Wetherall and Branton and then a bunch of parking tickets and an abandoned car thing in Branton, you go, oh, well, damn, I guess that's the solution.
Well, yeah.
Thanks for telling me the solution.
No.
And I don't want to tell you the solution. So I was like, this evidence will confirm the solution. And in universe, it basically will tell it to you. But I want you to tell me what it's going to be.
Quite frankly,
so I know that you have to solve it.
One thing that you can pretty much rely on me that you couldn't rely on playtesters for, I'm never going to use police resources unless it is an absolute last resort. Like it was in this case where the car's not there. I can't find where the car is. This is an outrage.
So what I really wanted, what I would have ideally loved is for you to go, the car's missing. Oh no, where could I find it? Can I talk to the Branton police? Because that's where and I think at least one of the playtest groups were like, oh, can we go to the Branton police and see if they've got anything about Harmony? Like they wanted to ask about Harmony in that's I think the ideal level. Obviously for them, I'd given them a lot more than I gave you.
Would have been so useful if I had actually just moved to Branton like I told Amanda I was gonna.
But so that's the ideal version of that. I think it was right for you to be like, I want to find the car. You'd had all the information. I knew why you were looking for the car, for example. Like you weren't just like, let's find the car. But when you said it really early on, I was like, if you say that now, I don't know how to, obviously the car won't be there, but I don't know how to stop you just finding it, getting the information and sort of skipping some of the other stuff. I want you to start to rule out the Samantha aspect of it. I want you to deal with the Daniels. You haven't really gone to the other motives, and I don't want you to find it. So it should be the last thing that you do. And I'm glad it ended up being the last thing that you did. But I was really glad to be able to say, you tell me what you've just found, because I think you can work it out and then this will confirm it. So that moment, same with the conversation with Matt and saying like, what do you think Matt's about to say? Because I want you to say the word little freak before Matt does. And
there's like mini denouements in themselves.
Yes. It's like, I want you to say freak before Matt says freak. So I understand that you figure that out and a character didn't just tell you. And I want you to tell me the car will be in Branton before I tell you that the car is in Branton, because that is an indication of that is what she did with the seafood. She drove to Branton. She left the car there. Because she got on the train,
Absolutely.
so she couldn't get back to the car and all this sort of stuff.
Instead, what you said, the car had been left somewhere. What, parking tickets in Wetherall? And you sort of paused for a second, and that was enough of a pause for me to when things started chugging along nicely. I also like that I got to then have a moment, like you get in some denouements of, and here's the great error that I made in my investigation.
Yes, yeah, getting home. I don't actually have any notes about how they got home. So,
and yet.
But yeah, knowing that no one saw Harmony's car at all, like I tried to be seed the information without being heavy-handed of the fact that she turned up, she must have parked around the corner or something. She parked somewhere off and had to walk from where she parked.
Even as I was trying to search for the car, and I was just going, come on, I assume I know what this car looks like. You didn't lead me in any direction on that.
I tried to keep these things hinted so that if you go back, all the info is there. that from the beginning, no one ever said they saw her drive up. They just said she turned up. She must have parked nearby. She said like passed someone down the road or something. So she had to walk in the rain for a
So
while.
talk about the canon of I barge on up to Harmony's house, pounding on her door and say, "Oh my god, your car's been stolen." She says, "No, it hasn't." And then 10 minutes later, she's arrested.
Yeah.
I mean, probably several hours or even
I
days
really
later,
liked-
because I then took a trip to Branton.
I really like being able to have a thing early on where you got the dates wrong deliberately about when you met Gregory, and I wanted Matt to react to that, but not because he killed Gregory, but because he knows, because he's like, well, that doesn't make sense, and I therefore think you might be a reporter or something. And to be able to bring that back later was really nice, to have someone act suspiciously but give him a different reason. I liked being able to do that on the fly.
Do the people in playtests just lie as much as I do?
They're much. You have a thing where you're just like, how do I investigate this without ever letting anybody ever know that I want to know an answer from them? You'll be like, okay, I need to ask this person what they do for a living. How can I trick them into thinking that I also do the same thing without revealing what it is, so they tell me what industry we're both in? Just ask them what they do for a living. Just say, hi, what's your job?
All right,
No.
Next time,
No, Danny, I
lying.
like it. It's fun.
No
It's
lying.
it's a fun bit, but no one else does it like you. Everyone else just goes, hi, I'm a detective. I'd like to know the following facts. Whereas you're just like,
That's how you get lies,
what if I get
people?
them in a plane and then we both jump out of the plane? I pretend we don't have parachutes and they'll reveal their secrets as an end of life experience, and then I'll pull the actual parachute chute and we'll land gently and I'll arrest them. Just ask them the question. So yeah, you came up with all these things of like, how am I going to trick? Like, you went to Amanda and you're like, I have to pretend that I'm buying a house here in Branton. I want to know from her the local party scene so I can see which chains. Like, just ask her questions about her day. Just be like, Amanda, how are you? Do you deal drugs? So that's very different. That's a you thing. I can't really predict what you're going to do or what you're going to think. What you're going to think is an unreasonable request. Like, I'm never going to expect in my notes, like, when Danny gets Hayden Flincham to wear buckets for his feet and pretend to be a man they're always great moments. I have no capacity of knowing when they're coming. Because in my notes, like, when the detective asks this and you will refuse, I could never just ask Samantha where her boat is moored. I have to go to the local mooring police.
It's because the response will be, I don't know who you are. That's a weird question. Please never talk to me again.
That's because you never said you're a detective. You refused to be like, this is a murder investigation, so no one...
Because as soon as they know it's a murder investigation, they're going to lie to me.
They'll go in to tell you more truths than you can handle. But yeah, so no, that's all you. Playtest groups are much more... But also the playtests are far less in character. Playtests are about structure of evidence placement rather than actual character stuff. So, like, when they have a conversation, the reason they can get through in 3 hours what can take you 8 is because for them, there's a lot of like, okay, we ask Harmony about the other people. And I say, great. Harmony says this about Samantha, this about Daniel, this about this, this about this, this about this, this about that. Great. All right, now we ask the same question to this person. Great, they'll say da 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 da, and the next one da 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 da, and the next one da, and we get through in 10 minutes with no character stuff that could take 3 episodes.
Yeah, I can't even imagine doing that. That's outrageous.
I don't lie to them anywhere near as much as I lie to you.
Nice.
Like because the characters for you sometimes will say something and need to be pressed. All the stuff like if pressed for you would have had to be like, hey, I know you booked a ticket for Jack. You booked a ticket on the plane, and then they might have said, oh my gosh, you're right. But for them, it could be, hey Matt, what about Jack? Was Jack really on the bus? No, actually I got a ticket for Jack on this. Just as long as they ask the right sort of questions and I realize, yep, there could be that interaction there and that would lead to this, so let me just give them this. So I'm much more open with information because I'm just sort of checking if you go to all the fonts of information and get the information that they will font at you, can you piece together the right idea? Does it give you the right understanding? So you have a completely different game. Because I can't do a full playtest with playtesters because these recordings take so long. Yeah. And if I was as mean to playtesters as I am to you, look, they also have the benefit that we playtest in groups. So there's usually 3 or 4 people in a playtest, and that means that each of them does a quarter of the investigation. And and like we've seen with Escape This Podcast, people trying to solve an escape room solo is so hard. As soon as there's 2, the pace increases exponentially.
Sure.
But I don't think now all you data nerds who said I have 2 data points and then I said exponential and that can't make any sense because that's not how data works. You're right, but get over it.
But it still doesn't mean that I want another detective to be working with us here because the way that I record these is as I'm sure I've mentioned this in every autopsy at this point, with several major freezes and needing to take time overnight to think hard about what my next adventure is going to be in the story.
Look, if there was a second person doing the investigation, it would be very different. It would be much more you'd like in Escape This Podcast. I think moments where you're stuck, the other person would be unstuck until they get stuck, and then you are the person who's unstuck. And that's just how it would work. You'd feed off each other and be very, very different investigation. But I think you did really well. And I think you smashed it and solved it really well. And it's our longest mystery yet. And I think it was fun. I hope people enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it at home.
It was lots of fun. I was really excited as we were going through it every time. Even
my voices were nonsense.
Even when there were points where I was getting stuck, I had no idea where to go next. I didn't know how to make my threads connect to each other. Every time we finished a recording, I would leave feeling really happy.
Yeah. And it's so hard from my perspective of like, there's moments where I'm like, well, that's it. Danny's got all the info. And then you go, what do I do? I don't know what's going on. I'm like, oh yeah. Because Danny doesn't know that it's like, Danny's still looking for ways it could be multiple people or a whole group of them. Or so when that's on the table, you have to consider all this stuff very differently.
Definitely.
So I think you did really well putting it together. I thought it was great. I had a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. It took a long time to get out. Maybe you understand why. There's also, a whole bunch of other stuff. There's health issues and busyness and multiple shows and all this other stuff that keeps these. And, writing murder mysteries is hard. It's
very hard.
Takes a while. And this one, even recording this, took us a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
To get through 10 episodes while doing other stuff and figuring it out and finding time to do them and being able to set aside a few hours and then getting stuck and needing to take time. And it's a stressful thing to record. So it took us, a couple of weeks just to record it, if not more. So we're finishing this recording on the 13th of December, and then we started on the 20-something of November. We definitely started in November, so it's been quite a while recording, on and off and taking breaks and doing all that. But we'll see how long it takes to get out. I just gave the date of when this was recorded, so we'll see how long it takes me to actually get it out to everybody. But hey, hopefully it's a Christmas treat.
That would be nice.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you, Bill. You put so much work into this.
I did it.
You always do. They're wonderful.
How many notes is my Google Doc? How many pages is my Google Doc, I wonder? Do I have a page list? Do I number the pages? Is there a way to check? Details? Does it tell me how many pages it is? No.
Doesn't have a word count or anything? That would also be good.
Oh, yeah. What's the word count? It's 6,179 words.
That's as long as a chunky Escape This Podcast.
Yeah, and I don't have any, and these are all dot points.
Yeah.
So that's pretty big.
Wow.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, this is more
13,
pages than an Escape This Podcast.
14, 15, 16, 17, 18 pages.
Wow.
It's big.
That's intense.
Around that.
So that's how much work goes into this.
Images, some that doesn't have the images that I sent you either. So a lot of fun stuff. All right, thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Danny, for doing it. Dog is screaming at us. You can probably hear him in the background. He doesn't want us to be recording.
He can just hear the conclusive nature of our voices.
Yeah, so he thinks we're done, and he's mad that we're not standing up. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. I've got a fun one brewing. We'll probably do something. Who knows how long that'll take. It's tough, but, it's not like a normal show. You don't get a weekly release. You get weekly releases when the stories are done. If this was a TV show, you get one of these a year.
If that these days.
You get 10 episodes every 2 years. Come on. We're doing great. All right. Thank you, buddy. Bye. See you later. Oh, and of course, before we go...
we have some other people to thank, besides you.
Really, we use their first names for most of it, but they're pretty aware of who they are. So thank you to all of the patrons whose names we used. To obviously... Amanda Daub, Harmony Hansen, Jack Wolf, Samantha Seeger, Daniel Kitchener, Matt Sheeran, and Gregory, just Gregory. I because the character was getting a new surname of Sutherland, I wanted to find someone who only had a first name. And I found
totally
Gregory
fair.
on the list, so thank you, Gregory,
and
as well.
Returning Jamie
And of
Sutherland.
course, yes, back again after appearing in the in-flight incident, Jamie Sutherland. that's it. There were no Amy Blue was not. There's no Johnny Weatherall. Nothing like that.
I'm really shocked that you didn't name Weatherall after the street next to our street.
I didn't. I named it after Weather Hill, a thing that I invented. So thank you all so much for supporting the show. I hope you enjoyed seeing your name in lights. I hope the killer enjoyed being a killer. I hope the victim enjoyed being a victim. I hope all the other people enjoyed being who they are. If you're mad about it, just know that these are depictions of who I think you are in your soul. They are my best attempt at imitating you personally, and not just me ascribing your name to one of these characters. All right, thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Solve This Murder. To submit your own guesses for whodunit, send an email to solvethismurderpod@gmail.com. We read every theory we're sent and award the greatest sleuth with a place on our wall of detectives. To support the show, you can sign up for our Patreon and receive weekly bonus episodes, monthly videos, and full access to all parts of new Solve This Murder mysteries on day one. Thanks to all our patrons for supporting us. Thanks to Advanced Sagebrush and Shootouts for our theme music. And thanks again to all of you for listening.